was way back in 1970 with St Nicholas under-7s, when a little starry-eyed boy began a rugby league career that would eventually capture the hearts and imagination of an entire community. The transformation from boyhood to young gentleman was rapid. You see, Penrith was crying out for a hero, a superstar. And at the foot of the mountains in Sydney's far west, they found a diamond. His name, Greg Brandy Alexander.
I struggled a bit 14, 15, 16. I think everyone sort of shot up, and I was still a little bloke. I sort of hadn't developed yet, and but it wasn't until I got to Fairfield that I started to grow and I could match him.
Alexander, like a streak of lightning, has got between the defence, and he's still going and still going. He's beaten 4 of them. He's run away from 5. He's turned them away down to the wing three-quarter.
I played football with Paul Langmack the year before in New South Wales Catholic side, and realised how much his football was sort of going forward nightly.
Worth inside another, comes to the last, he's over again. He's a brilliant youngster. Alexander the Great.
Everyone thought I'd signed like a scholarship, but I hadn't. I thought my best chance would be to do that would be if I moved over to Fairfield. So.
Goes to Greg Alexander, a young man who's made us drool with his football deeds this past season. Extraordinarily talented, a worthy winner of the scholarship.
At a young bloke, I've always thought of playing first grade. It was, that first year at Fairfield that I realised that, I got sort of that dream that come true if I just stuck at it.
In 1984, and after just 2 reserve grade games, it was Brandy's date with destiny, Penrith Park.
Actually, I nearly signed with Parramatta. I'd spoken to Dennis Fitzgerald, and when I was at school, Sterling, Kenny, Ella, were the blokes that I admired, and I thought it'd be great to play with them. But with Sterling, the halfback, and me, not really. I didn't want to play anywhere else at that stage of, in my career. So, and after I spoke to Timmy Shoons, I knew he was a man to sort of steer me through those first few years of grade. I was happy to be at Penrith. I'd always lived here, and with blokes like Simo and Timmy Shoons sort of running the show. I remember in those days, I was there was no sign-on fees. We were all on match payments, and so it didn't matter who you were. You just, if you played first grade, you got your $600, win, lose or draw. So my aim was to play 10 first grade games to get $6,000 that year. So because I wanted to go on holidays at the end of the year. So.
Try. Greg Alexander, the boom colt, starts away, finds Bazilard, he goes in to score, and Penrith deservedly wins 24.
After 25 minutes was this one from Greg Alexander.
You'll see another facet of his play here as he makes a nice little brush, makes the kick ahead, regathers, bounces out of 2.
At the 50th minute, Batiste scored a try for Canterbury, but here's Greg Alexander getting around Terry Lamb and sprinting into an open space. But now, watch it. Alexander, class written right across his name. He's going to be very, very good. Not that he isn't right now.
Setting off on his own is young Alexander, chips over the top, but was he hit too late? We'll see in a moment. Alexander gets a bit of his back to Alexander. Oh, a beautiful run through by Ken Wolf, straight over the line.
Alexander showing it, then trying to get away from the defence. And he has. Alexander's over.
And going across field, plenty of players. Alexander leaves them stranded, shows the ball, goes the dummy. Izzard given another dummy. Alexander for the try line, and Alexander is going to score a brilliant individual try. Now Alexander, chip over the top, he could beat Taylor, do it, he has. Alexander must score, they won't catch him. Alexander, that is superb.
A perfect bounce ring back inside to Connor. Connor holds the ball, gets it outside to Alexander, around Burgess for the corner. Goose steps and around O'Connor to touchdown.
The ball played and Alexander puts it over the top, and it's a chase with Alexander. The big chance to pick it up. Alexander's got it. They won't catch him. Oh, Alexander is a masterly rugby league player. He saw the open spaces from halfway.
He might regather. He has.
Now known to the Penrith community as simply Brandy, this incredible talent in 1984 alone had won Dally M Rookie of the Year, Sports Writers Rookie of the Year, Penrith Rookie of the Year and Sunday Telegraph Rookie of the Year. And if you thought 84 was good, 1985 was simply superb. Penrith made the semi-finals for the first time since their inception back in 1967. As for Greg, his trophy cupboard needed an extension. Dally M Halfback of the Year, Penrith Player of the Year, and the big one, 1985 Dally M Player of the Year. And the winner is...
Penrith's Greg Alexander.
Doing some skipping, some dancing, some weaving, and he's over the halfway line. The support is coming. He holds it back. He's still going. He picks up his winger, Gonzalez. Gonzalez is down.
Alexander down the touchline. He's after the ball. He's going to get near it. He's in for a brilliant try. What a try to Greg Alexander.
Rookie of the Year last year, Halfback of the Year this year. What's next?
Penrith win the grand final.
As for the pink suit...
Yeah, well, I think that was Wiz's idea, actually. I'll blame Wiz anyway.
In 1994, it is a very mature and realistic Greg Alexander that looks back on his 10 magnificent years at the Penrith Panthers, on past and present playing and coaching staff, and of the Panthers' roller coaster ride to the very top of the Rugby League mountain. And in Greg's own personal climb to his Everest, 1986 would catapult Brandy to a kangaroo tour and some great memories.
I was desperate to get on in 86, I remember. I'd had a pretty good year. But actually going on it, I just didn't realise, how the mateship and the things you do together, and that it was really special, really was. The 2 kangaroo tours I've been on, probably the best 3 months of my life for sure. Probably the highlight was going with Terry Lamb. That was my highlight. I'd always admired him as a footballer, and on that kangaroo tour we were pretty inseparable and did everything together, and that was everything.
And from barbars to another breed of animal, Greg's memories of the 86 tour are with his beloved emus. And by the sound of it, although Rugby League was high on the agenda, the emus had other duties to perform.
On 86, I was just an emu, straight out, and you got this sort of bond together. There was a lot of young blokes in the emus, like Ciro and Langmack and me, and so very social group, the emus. You're out to drink a lot, so it's really hard to pick one moment.
The rise of this star wasn't without hurdles. 87 was an ordinary year, and the Panthers struggled. But it was a building process that would eventually create a means to an end.
The year we got back, 87, we had a pretty bad year. I think I know I was flat. I think coming back from the kangaroo tour, had a few injuries to 87. And we didn't do too well at all. I think we ran second or third last that year. Then Tim left and Ron Willie came on. In 88, as I said, they brought those experienced guys like Louis Mortimer, and they lifted the young blokes. So blokes like MJ and Cardi and Vandy and me were all sort of just ready to sort of produce it against sort of the best footballers around. So. We were sort of getting ready for that premiership.
While napping on this occasion, Alexander had a hand in 2 other tries. He returns to halfback for Sunday's match against Balmain, which should save him from having to suffer any more of Ron Willie's tips on being a fullback.
Ronnie gave me a few tips before the game, being a fullback. He said to me, well, it's a wet night. He said I used to stay home on these nights.
Greg Alexander was far from being one of Ron Willie's darlings. In fact, the league world knew that there was more than a minor rift between Brandy and Coach Willie. Throughout it all, Brandy kept a brave face. And talking of faces, what about these 2 local heroes? A once very camera-shy Greg